Hey everybody, welcome back to Taji's World of Books, and let's talk about what I read this week. Hey everybody, welcome back, and thank you so much for joining me. And this week I thought what I would do is talk to you about the books that I read this week. So last week I talked to you about the Steele Brothers Saga by Helen Hart. And I told you I was going to do that in two parts. So I finished in the last video the first generation of the Steele brothers. And so now I've moved into the second generation. And let me say this. You get no warning. You know that there are like 28, I think there are like 28 books now out in the entire Steele Brothers saga. And the first 15 or so books, whatever, I'll link it above, in part one is all of the older generation, okay? Then it skips almost automatically when you start with Awakening and you jump into the children of the older Steele siblings, and I wasn't prepared for that. And I think I had come to love the first generation so much, the Steele brothers and their saga, and the story didn't feel complete. The last three, last trilogy was Brad's story, Brad Steele, and it was the father, and his story seemed, you know, like I said, his children never forgave him. They never understood why he did what he did, and they sort of let him go to his grave hating him. And so now we come into this trilogy, and this is Awakened, Cherished, Freed. And this picks up with Talon Steele, who is the middle Steele brother, who was abducted and sold into a child sex slavery ring. And once he is found and brought back home, he has a troubled life. He grows up, he meets Jade, and they start to uncover the secrets of the family. And while they're uncovering secrets of the family, they go off to this island in Jamaica in search of clues, and they find these two young boys that have been sold into the same sex ring that Talon was sold into as a child. And so, of course, Talon is not going to leave those boys there. He is going to rescue them and keep them. And so he and Jade have just gotten married. They are 25 years old, quite young. Talon's 10 years older, so he's about 35. And it's a 7-year-old and a 10-year-old. And the 10-year-old boy is Dale, and the 7-year-old is Donnie. And this is Dale's story. And so Dale, this mimics much of what Talon went through. But it's Dale's story, but it's very similar to Talon's story, but it's not told as well, in my opinion. And also the thing that sort of frustrates me a little bit about these books is that Talon and his brothers, Ryan and Jonas, do to the second generation, their children, what Brad Steele did to them. So they wound up hating Brad for everything that he did. And he did some fucked up things. He did some really messed up things. Like, there's no question about it. Like, when he found that his son was sold into sex slavery and that he was retrieved and brought home, he never sought to get him help. Now, the Steele children, Talon, Jonas, Ryan, don't know why he didn't get help and don't understand that story. And he sort of went to his grave with that knowledge. We, as the reader, know the knowledge. We understand what happened, but they don't. And so they look at it like, you never got us help, and you like paid off, you paid to keep this quiet. That's not exactly what happened, but okay. And so now when we get into this generation, they look at it like, well, Talon is like, at least I got you help, and we got you therapy from the very beginning, and we made sure that, all of your issues were being addressed, but Talon and his brothers still harbored secrets and kept things from this generation that are now starting to come out, and this generation is now starting to be upset with their parents because they're like, why are you keeping this from us? Because we needed to know this information and you didn't let us know. And now it's coming out and we're being blackmailed and the saga is starting all over again. And so it's like, it's a perpetual cycle. And so that's what's coming out here. But yet again, it wasn't as interesting as it was the first time around. Or maybe because we've already done this and I'm like, we're back again because things were quiet and now all of a sudden it's back and everything ends on a cliffhanger. And every trilogy sort of ends in an HEA for now, but there's still an ongoing story. She could be writing in this world for like the next 20 years and like we still don't know what's going to happen with the Steeles and like second generation and secrets being uncovered and lies being told. and things mysteriously appearing and disappearing, and you know, how are people getting into our house with security systems. There's a lot of going on here. So having said that, I gave these a 3.75. They were spicy, like a 3, but like it just didn't deliver to me in the same way that the first generation did. So I liked it, and it was entertaining, but not as much. So then the next trilogy is, like I said, these are the oldest Steele siblings, so it's going to be Donnie's story. So we heard Dale, and now it is Donovan's time, and it comes in Spark, Flame, and Blaze, and this is his story with another family, the Pike family. And the Pike family bought a neighboring ranch that belonged to a family that was previously connected to Brad Steele and Jonah and that whole crew, that first generation. And they since moved off, and a new family bought that homestead, and now that's the Pikes. And so the Pikes are a big family, just like the Steeles are a big family. They own neighboring ranches. The Pikes have a lot of daughters, and the Steeles have a lot of sons, and so it's all sort of coming together all in one now. And so that's what we're doing in this story as well. And again, it just wasn't, like, I was a little bit bored, you know. Again, mysterious things are happening, people are coming in, people are blackmailing, they're like uncovering secrets about that the Steeles own the town. They're trying to figure out, why do they have all these liens on all these properties, and it just seems like, okay, here we go again. But I'm in it, and I'm interested, but at the same time, like that first generation, it just doesn't measure up quite as well. So I gave this a 3.75 as well. Okay, so moving on, I was happy to move out of that world because I was trying to get a little bit burnt out. Even though I enjoyed it and I absolutely loved it, I wanted to do something a little bit different. So then I read Burnout by Coralie June, and I liked this, but I wasn't crazy about it. So this is the story of Blakely, and I believe is it Decker? Decker. So Blakely is from a small town in Texas. Her mother is a piece of work, let's just say this, and she dates multiple guys. She has indiscriminate sex. She's an alcoholic. She's just a hot mess as a mother. She dies of cancer, and Blakely is still in high school, and she is left really to her own devices. Right around the time that her mother dies, she learns that she has a half-brother who was adopted out. She connects with that half-brother, and the half-brother decides that she can come and stay with him. And because she's 18 now, she's signed out of the foster care system and can move to, I think it's like Houston or Austin or wherever the brother. No, they leave Texas and they go to Arkansas, some southern place. They go to Arkansas, and she's there with him. Immediately when she arrives, she meets her brother's best friend, Decker, who is also living in his condo with him. She finds out that her brother is very wealthy. He is an architect. He was raised by 2 surgeons. His best friend also is quite wealthy. And so when she comes, the best friend, Decker, is like, I got your number, you're a piece of trash coming from like wherever, and I'm not going to let you use him because everybody that comes into his life uses him and abuses him, and I'm not going to let you be another statistic in his life. And so they hit it off on the wrong foot right away. And quickly, you know, things evolve and develop, and there is an attraction that they have to one another, and you start to see very quickly that this is a dark romance. This is coined a dark bully romance, and it's a high school bully romance. I don't see why. The only thing about it being a high school bully romance is that she is in high school, and it comes to be that he teaches at the magnet school that she's going to be attending, and so it's forbidden in the sense that they should not be together because of the student-teacher relationship. I felt like this was trying to be a student-teacher relationship type situation, and it just wasn't good. Like, I wasn't feeling it. I was bored. I was like, why do I care about these characters? I know people really like this and really like this book and like this author, and I just was like, ho-hum. So I gave it a 3. Other people out there gave it a 5. So if you definitely want to check out like a dark bully, high school student-teacher type forbidden romance, and also because it's my brother's best friend, you know, it falls into many, many tropes, and it is interesting to many people, and they give it a 5. I gave it a 3. So then the next book that I read that I absolutely adored with all of my soul was by Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward, and this is Dirty Letters, and I loved it. This was one of the best representations of anxiety and agoraphobia that I have read in a really long time. There's a very sweet doctor that is here, that is her long-term psychiatrist that works with her, and he is an avid bird watcher, and he has a non-conventional way of doing psychotherapy with her, blends some lines of doctor-patient, you know, in terms of their relationship, but it's so gorgeous and so beautiful. I love it so much. And it's the story of Griffin Quinn and a pen pal situation that he has with Luca. And so Griffin and Luca have been pen pals since they were 7 years old. They were quite young. It was a student project that her teacher encouraged them to do. They started writing together, and they wrote to each other for like 10 years. And something tragic happens in Luca's life, and she discontinues writing letters, and as a result she develops agoraphobia. And so on a whim, Griffin writes to her after not hearing from her for 8 years and decides, I'm going to try one last time, and he sends it to her father's house unbeknownst to Luca. Luca's father dies pretty early on in the book, and she goes to clean out his home, and while she's there she finds the letter, and the story ensues from there. And it is a beautiful love story. It is heartbreaking, heartwarming, gorgeous. This is going to make it to my top standalones for 2022. It is absolutely gorgeous and such a beautiful read and such a beautiful story. Not a lot of angst, just a real tale of telling how relationships evolve. And I love how Griffin approaches it. He's like, I'm not going to pressure you. Either you're going to work to be with me or you're not. I can't force you. I want to be with you, and I want you to want to be with me in as much as I want to be with you. But I can't force you, so it's up to you. It's just so gorgeous. It's so gorgeous, and it's a rock star romance, and it's like a second chance romance as well. Like, it just has everything that I love in a book that is just, it delivers in so many ways, and I cannot gush enough. And this is my first by Keelan and Penelope Ward book, and I have a number of their books on my TBR, and I'm absolutely gonna grab some more of them because I love their writing style, and like, this is so the book for me and the author for me. I absolutely loved it. It's gorgeous. I gave it a 5, like glaring, so good. And in terms of the spice, like, it was spicy, like it was there. It's like 3 spicy, and the angst, it wasn't crazy angst. It was just enough, right? So it was like a 3, maybe 2, 3 angst. It wasn't over the top. It was just enough. I cannot speak highly enough about this. If you have not read Dirty Letters, and it's Dirty Letters because they're spicy and they talk like dirty in their letters to one another, and it's super cute. But it's also cute, like very innocent as well. So it gives you everything. So check it out, please. And then the last book that I want to talk about is Happy Letter After, and I absolutely love this as well. And this is also by Vi Keelan and Penelope Ward. And this book has, so let's see, this is about Sadie and Sebastian. And Sebastian has a daughter, and his daughter's name is Birdie. And she is the sweetest little girl. Birdie Maxwell finds a column in an article, and it's writing to Santa, and she starts to write to Santa, and she's writing her requests, things that she wants, because her mother has died from cancer. And so Sadie sees these articles because she is the recipient. She sees these and she starts to answer her requests, and these things get bigger and bigger, and it starts to kind of evolve into something else. And before Sadie knows it, Sadie is in pretty deep, and she finds herself at Birdie's house, and she is mistaken for a dog walker, and she doesn't know how to explain that that's not why she's there. And usually I get really upset when there are lies and there are intentional deceptions that go in books, but this was done so well, and it was explained so well that it didn't bother me. And there are moments in this book where I was like hysterically laughing out loud when she is trying to explain away that she is this German dog walker and like dog trainer, and like she does all of her commands for this, you know, I think the dog is, it's a Great Dane, for this Great Dane dog that she's making up as she goes, and it is freaking hilarious the way that they wrote it. So it's so good. And their story is just very sweet. It's a single dad, you know, that is, you know, obviously because his wife has passed away. So it's a chance at him having romance. She has had terrible dating luck. She writes for a column, so she goes on serial dates and she writes her experiences. She lives in New York City. It's set in New York City, so she's explaining to other single people, like, these are the experiences. This is what I've done. You know, if you want to try it, like, here's the dating situation and how they have it set up at various bars and karaoke and so on and so forth. And it's quite interesting. And I love this story because Birdie gives some comic relief. Sebastian is struggling because he doesn't want to feel the way he does about Sadie because he doesn't feel like he can give up on his dead wife. He's still grieving her. And then at the same time, Sadie is like a breath of fresh air, and she has an amazing relationship with Birdie that is so connected and so beautiful and so earnest and sincere, even though she started her relationship off with Sebastian in lies. But she quickly resolves that and comes clean, and it's done very tastefully, and I just loved it so much. It's so good. I can't gush enough about it. It's really, really good. So I think that you should check it out. So if you have not read Happy Letter After, I gave it a 5-star. In terms of spice, I give it a 4, and in terms of angst, I give it a 3. It's definitely worth a try, and like I said, I am going to jump on more of the Penelope Ward and Vi Keelan bandwagon because they are the authors for me. Definitely for contemporary romance. It's like, you know, so super fun. So that is that. So you guys, that's what I read this week. So I'm going to be jumping off, and hopefully I'm going to be finishing up the rest of my March TBR. I've added a couple of books to it, so I might not get through everything, but I might. But I think if you guys like, this is what I read this week, that's going to be my regular Friday video from now on because it's seeming like it works so well. And then I'll do my other series recommendations earlier in the week as well. And do me a favor and hit that like button because it really helps me with the YouTube algorithm. And if you're liking the content, hit that bell notification button so you can be notified every time I upload a new video. And that's really all that I have for today. You guys, thank you so much for joining me, and throw me a comment in the comment below or a heart emoji or something fun to let me know that you did hang in there for the duration of this video. And so that's all that I have for today. Thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye!